All right, let's dive into a pretty huge story unfolding in Bangladesh. We're talking about a housing revolution, a single idea that's completely reshaping the country's biggest cities, pulling in global talent, and, you guessed it, creating a massive opportunity. Let's break it down.
So, what's the engine behind this big shift? As cities like Dhaka and Chattogram are just booming, they're hitting a major growing pain. Where do you house this new wave of global professionals? The answer is something people are calling a frictionless solution. But what does that actually mean for the folks on the ground?
So, picture this. You've got this new wave of professionals. We're talking corporate execs, international project teams, experts from NGOs, and they are all flocking to Bangladesh's biggest cities. They aren't tourists, but they're not moving there forever either. They're there for weeks, maybe months at a time, and they need a place to live that just works.
And that's the heart of the problem, right? A hotel's fine for a few days, but for a 3-month stay, it starts to feel pretty impersonal, not like a home at all. But on the other hand, signing a traditional year-long lease on an apartment, that's a massive commitment, full of paperwork and logistical headaches. So what's the solution in the middle?
This is where the market got really smart. To solve this exact problem, a new model started to pop up, one that offered what's now called frictionless living. And that model is the serviced apartment, an idea perfectly designed to bridge that awkward gap between a short hotel stay and a long-term lease.
So what is a serviced apartment, exactly? Well, think of it as the best of both worlds. You get a fully furnished, private apartment that feels like home, but with all the perks you'd expect from a hotel. Things like housekeeping, security, and high-speed Wi-Fi, all ready to go.
This whole market is exploding, and it's really being fueled by 4 key things. First, you've got a huge surge in corporate travel from big multinational companies. Second, a general wave of expats moving into the cities. Then there's this growing demand for that frictionless experience, the ability to just show up with your suitcase and have everything sorted. And finally, of course, property developers have caught on that this is a really lucrative market, often bringing in way better returns than a standard rental.
Now, when this model is done right, it creates what the source material calls a triple win scenario. And that's key. It's not just one group that benefits here. The positive effects actually ripple outwards, creating value for pretty much everyone involved.
So let's look at how that triple win actually works. For the guests, it's a no-brainer. You get the comfort of a real home with the convenience of a hotel. For cities like Dhaka, it means they have a more diverse and flexible housing market, which is essential for supporting a growing business scene. And for the property owners, well, they're happy too, with higher rental income and assets that are kept in great shape by professional management. It's a genuinely symbiotic relationship.
But, whenever something grows this fast, there are always going to be some growing pains. And if this boom is left completely unregulated, there are some pretty significant hidden dangers that could threaten its long-term success and even cause problems for the communities where it's happening.
First up is the big one, housing affordability. As more and more property owners convert their places into these high-yield serviced apartments, there's a very real risk that it could shrink the supply of traditional rentals. And when supply goes down, prices could go up for local residents who are just looking for a long-term place to live. It's a super delicate balance.
Second, this whole sector is kind of operating in a gray area right now. There aren't clear, established rules of the road. Without proper licensing requirements, safety standards, and consumer protections, you're putting both the guests and the industry's own reputation at risk. Then you've got to think about the neighbors. A high turnover of short-term residents in what's always been a traditional residential building, that can lead to all sorts of issues with noise, security, even just trash management. It can create real tension with the long-term folks who call that building home.
And finally, there's quality control. If anyone can just slap the label serviced on their apartment without actually meeting any kind of standard for cleanliness or maintenance, it waters down the brand for everybody. A few bad experiences could easily tarnish the reputation of the entire sector.
Okay, so with all those risks on the table, how does this industry keep growing without, blowing up? Well, the experts have laid out a really clear 4-step blueprint for success. It's all about finding that balance between growth and responsibility.
So here's the roadmap. First, operations have to be transparent. We're talking clear contracts, no hidden fees. That's how you build trust. Second, safety and compliance need to be absolutely non-negotiable, with real audits to protect people. Third, the government's got to step in with clear policies and a fair tax system to make the whole sector legitimate. And finally, it all boils down to collaboration. Private developers and city planners have to work together. Because with the right structure, this isn't just a risky boom. It's a stable, long-term asset for the entire city.
And this quote just nails it. With the right plan in place, serviced apartments could become a cornerstone of Bangladesh's modern hospitality and business infrastructure. That's the kind of massive potential we're really talking about here. It's more than just a trend.
And that leaves us with a much bigger question, one that goes way beyond Bangladesh. What's happening there is a story playing out in booming cities all over the world. How do you balance the drive for economic progress with the need for community well-being? It really is the central challenge of building cities in the 21st century.